Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Babbling Irons match review with myself and Mike. And as you can see from our beaming smiles, we have won a game. We've won a very important game against Man United, and I think we're pretty much safe now. Although not mathematical, we're pretty much safe, and it was a massive boost. So, yeah, we're going to kind of break down the match, and it's going to be nice for once instead of breaking down a defeat. So, let's get into it and, yeah, tell you guys what we thought about the game. So, Mike, 3 points, up to 37 now in the league, 7 points clear of the drop, and beating, a top four chaser. Looks like the pressure's on them as well.
Yeah.
A massive win yesterday, a massive win for the confidence, just a massive team performance, and just relief, a little bit of relief in the system.
Yeah, as you can tell, my voice is a bit hoarse today. I was at the game and yeah, my voice isn't doing too great. But no, it was a massive game. Two big games this season where myself has said it's must win. You've said it's must win. We've actually gone and done it. Obviously, I said the Bournemouth game, we win that, we're safe. Obviously, it wasn't mathematically, but I said mentally, I said we were safe in that respect because it was only 3 points more needed. The game last night, I think now just puts us safe. There's a couple of big games going on tonight, obviously for the other teams around us. But if results go our way, that could be brilliant. Even to have Southampton winning would be brilliant for us. Everton obviously losing to Brighton would be fantastic.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who. I think Leicester.
Forest Southampton.
Forest Southampton. Yeah, Leicester are playing against Fulham.
Fulham away. Yeah.
So again, hopefully Fulham and Brighton win their game. Hopefully Southampton actually beat Nottingham Forest, because if that happens, then we are absolutely categorically safe. But I do think we are safe. And last night, to a man, those players played out their skin, and we'll kick it off at the start with the something that we always say: if someone does well, they deserve praise, and if they play badly, they don't. David Moyes, tactically spot on, fair play to him. We are always harsh critics, well, fair critics, I would say. I think last night he got it absolutely spot on.
Yeah,
he did things that we mentioned and talked about previously as well.
Yeah.
Which was also, it's good to see that. Not saying that we know it all. I'm just saying it's good to see that the club actually made tactical decisions and to control United. And I think that's what we did. We controlled United, regardless of number of shots or the possession stats. I think we controlled that game last night.
Well, let's look at the kind of lineups and the average positions that we took up, because we were kind of maybe saying, will it be a back four, back five? Tended to be a back four. He went with Cresswell left back, Ogbonna and Aguerd as our two centre backs, and Thilo Kehrer came in at right back for the injured Kufal. And then the kind of typical six that we see in front of those with Rice, Souček, Paqueta, Benrahma, Bowen, Antonio. And theirs was a little bit of a surprise. I'm surprised that Weghorst played, and Fernandes was out on the left, and then Rashford was just up top. I think that kind of helped us a little bit and played into our hands. I think Ten Hag got it wrong in that sense. And you kind of look at the average positions here, it did signify the pattern of what we were doing and what they were doing. And, we've seen it so many times, so how similar our average positions normally look when we play a back four like this. And yeah, I feel like it was quite interesting to see Rice, especially in the first half, was pushing up quite high. And was really putting that press on when we could. And Souček was kind of being a little bit more conservative, if you're in the defensive kind of aspect of it. And then, you kind of look at theirs. A lot of their play in the first half was over the right-hand side with Anthony, Wan-Bissaka as well coming inside. You look at Weghorst's position, like it was just really ineffective last night. And
to be honest, I think a lot of what was going on with Weghorst is because he's a consummate presser. He was used to essentially try and man-mark Rice.
Yeah.
And I think also what you see is where Luke Shaw is, where we've got obviously number 20 for us. Obviously, it's Bowen. If you look where he is, he's pretty much protecting. If you go by average positions, you've got essentially Souček and Bowen in a position where they can nullify that pass into Eriksen. They're also kind of stopping Shaw. So essentially, what they really, and this is not us just surmising off of the average position. This actually happened. We kind of blocked off the passing lanes into both from Shaw into the likes of Eriksen. We pretty much said you can pass it out to Malacia. On the other side, we pretty much was saying just get to Lindelof, pass to Lindelof. What we said in the build-up, we need to push United so that the ball has to constantly go into the likes of Lindelof and De Gea and obviously Wan-Bissaka, because they will give the ball away. And Rice did a brilliant job marshalling just around Casemiro. Apparently, the world's best defensive midfielder got put in Declan Rice's pocket, the overrated, overpriced, average English tax player. Put the world-class player of multiple Champions Leagues in his pocket firmly and gave him a thoroughly good lesson in football. Benrahma had a great position. Benrahma actually given that freedom to come inside meant that he was a constant thorn, and Lindelof didn't know what to do because he had pretty much, if it wasn't Benrahma and even Wan-Bissaka, surprisingly, considering he's one defending, really didn't look comfortable, want to really get near him.
I was going to say was probably Benrahma's most confident game against arguably one of the best 1v1 defenders. So.
Yeah, it was. I thought he was brilliant. He took him by either side. Wan-Bissaka didn't really know whether he was coming or going. Casemiro couldn't get near Paqueta all game. Paqueta was brilliant. Him and Rice were obviously in really close proximity. Obviously, Rice had to come over a lot more because Anthony was in the first half causing Cresswell untold problems. Cresswell was struggling quite a bit, I think, in that first half at times. Yeah. And obviously Rice had to come over a lot to cover for him and to kind of get in there. But, ultimately, whenever I watch Anthony, he just seems a player who cuts in for the left as a shot. That's about it. That was all he pretty much could offer in the entire game, apart from a bit of pace. But the way we set up was exactly how we were asking and wanted us to set up. We wanted to marshal Casemiro. Yeah. We wanted us to ensure that the ball was constantly going into the likes of De Gea, Lindelof, and Wan-Bissaka, because they would always be their weakest links when they're playing out from the back. And De Gea had a mare, and we'll get into one of those things. But every time he got the ball and was trying to play out from the back, he looked rickety as anything and was constantly giving the ball away. And quite early, obviously Decker's made a couple of really great interceptions and set us on our way, and a couple of probably better decisions. We probably could have been up quite early. I think there's one with Paqueta where he gets the ball after we win it in our own half and we break. And Antonio, I don't know what went through his mind, but he just seemed to just stop and then try and go. And then it was, by that stage, the ball had gone. It had been a fantastic through ball. It was really well weighted, but for some reason, unbeknownst reason, Antonio did an Antonio thing.
Yeah, I think we started, like you mentioned, I think we started the game pretty well. We were on the front foot for the first few minutes. And then they kind of got a little bit of a counter-attack with Rashford, and we kind of got a little bit shaken by that. And we just thought, okay, let's be a little bit more conservative. Yeah. And then we got into doing the things that we said. One thing I didn't really like before in the kind of opening 20-25 minutes was that right-hand side of Man United, our left-hand side was, I think we did it much better in the second half. I think Benrahma did a lot better in the second half defensively. I think what you mentioned there with Rice having to cover was partly because Benrahma, again, wasn't tracking back as much in the first half as he did in the second. And also Cresswell was just he was getting isolated by Anthony, and Anthony was even taking him on or coming inside, and it was far too easy for them to do that. But we kind of nullified that a lot more in the second half. And yeah, but in the kind of opening 20-25 minutes, I thought we had some really good chances. They didn't look great defensively at all. And I think the game was there for us to get that goal. And it was strange how the goal came about, because it shouldn't have been a goal. But let's kind of go through it, because it was Benrahma that kind of picked the ball up from this area. I think Bowen won the initial flick on, got kind of hit with his head. So thank God the ref didn't stop it for a head injury. Yeah. Antonio battles with Shaw, and then Benrahma kind of picks up in this area, just drives at the defense. I mean, there's really not much else on for him. At this point, it's going to take something world class, you think, in your head to score from here, because look at the players around him and look at the distance he's had to travel with, and it was just really poor defending as well. Like, no player really put in a tackle. You could see 3 of them around Benrahma there. Just no intent to even challenge. Lindelof's just dropping off. And then Benrahma just decides to kind of take it inside on his right and shoot quick through the gap, through Lindelof. And then De Gea, I mean, it's just an absolute calamity. Like, what on earth was he doing? Because it was a really slow shot. He had time to see the ball. He had time to set. He did set. He got down, and then he still just didn't manage to save it, and it went in the back of his net. And I think the reaction says it all from the Man United players. I mean, three of them just going, "Oh my god, what have you done?" De Gea's head in the ground, and yeah, we found ourselves 1-0 up in arguably a really strange circumstance.
Yeah, obviously Poppadon risks.
Yeah.
You can't take a mere pass. Really, it was a pass. It was. I sit that end as well. So when you're watching it, it's like, oh, it's a tame shot. And the ball was bobbling a little, but it was still fairly tame. But it just clipped the top of his hand, and it's as though he got down essentially too quickly and too well. If you're going to give any kind of fairness to him, but it's an absolute calamity. There's no two ways about it. He should be saving that every single time. That should not be a goal, but it was, and it all came about really because, again, we stifled United. We gave them nothing to do. They tried to play a long ball over the top, which again wins the header. Thilo just then knocks it into an area where he knows Bowen is. Bowen takes it down on chest, draws in two players, gets a good flick on, and they say Antonio just brilliantly and showing strength against Shaw. And Shaw misses a tackle against Benrahma. And then from there, they just back off. None of them want to come near him. Again, they think if they get near, he's going to take it past. Lindelof, for me, looked worried the entire game.
He did.
He did
Antonio was causing him a lot of problems.
He was. They did not look comfortable at all. Probably Wan-Bissaka was probably their best, most comfortable defender. They just looked all over the shop, really. And yeah, we did. At that stage, you would say we probably did deserve the win, the goal, because we were creating some decent chances.
Yeah,
United hadn't really created anything. They've had a couple of. I say didn't really create anything. The chances that they had were speculative efforts from
distance. Yeah,
and a couple of them they went very close. Granted, if two of them were on target, they would have been goals because Fabianski didn't move.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about Fabianski.
He had a good game yesterday.
No, he did have a good game. But if those go in, you have a different conversation. But he had a good game, and so did everyone. Let's get that right. But they had those two opportunities that had one of them gone in, we might not have had that Benrahma opportunity. But United tight. They didn't look. There's no, even though they were fluid at times in terms of their movement to keep possession, there was, as soon as it got into the final third, they had no inroads. And the thing that I found the most boggling was they have a player like Weghorst, and there was no desire to get the ball in the area and just to try and cause havoc. It was actually a really easy time, I thought, for a Gerd and a Bonner in a defensive pair. Thilo was brilliant in the 1v1s, and pretty much whenever Rashford came wide, he put him in his pocket.
He was man marking him a lot as well. He was kind of tracking him as well.
Dealt with him amazingly, just absolutely nullified him completely. Fernandes, you couldn't really see in the game. He just could not get into it at all. When he did, you could tell the frustration was getting to him. And
that's where I think Ten Hag got it wrong yesterday, putting him out on the left, because he's not going to be able to affect the game from that kind of position. It played into our hands, and like you mentioned in the first half, they were going down the other side a lot, and it was often Fernandes just trying to get on the ball and coming inside a little bit more. So I think it was just really followed the same pattern throughout the first half. Like, they really didn't threaten much. But like you mentioned, had a few long range shots that, if they were on target, probably would have gone in, but they didn't really create anything meaningful. I mean, we beat them on XG, I'm pretty sure, like over the course of the match as well. So one thing that was kind of a massive turning point in that first half that could have been was the penalty shout right on half time. I think they just said 1 minute added on. And just what on earth are they looking at? Let's go through how it kind of happened, because it was really nice in the build-up from Paqueta and Benrahma. Like, we almost scored from it. It was really nice play. So, Mike, I'll let you talk us through this one, because it was really nice play.
and this is what Paqueta's doing a lot more of now and starting to understand. He always had the good ability to use his body well to shield the ball. But now he's starting to do it a bit more, and he kind of entices Wakehorst in. He knows he's there and kind of slows himself right the way down to bring him in, and then he just has a little injection of pace. And but at that point, Wakehorst has got no chance. He can't get near him, and as he moves forward and cuts inside, what he then does, he has Wakehorst trying to track him. He then draws out Eriksson. Now, two very important players in this whole sequence is Antonio and Bowen. Because of their positions, they hold themselves wide, which means that defensive pair have to split because Malacia is in no man's land, really. He should be deeper. He should be in that area that we kind of got highlighted. He should be in between Lindelof and obviously Shaw. If he does that, then this situation doesn't even arise. But because he's just in this no man's land area and Shaw's then come out to the left to cover for Bowen, it creates this massive gap for Benrahma, who, again, was given a level of freedom we haven't seen, which needs to happen more, because when this is allowed, he can start to pick up these little kind of places and get on those knockdowns and drive us forward. And it was a really good, pass through from Paqueta, really well weighted, great shot from Benrahma, but he's alive to it as well. So, when De Gea actually gets down really well to save it, the ball kind of bounces up, and the only thing he can do is try and keep it alive. So he tries to kind of put it back across goal, but obviously Lindelof is there. Now, at this point, one of the arguments probably be proximity to Benrahma is one of the reasons why it wasn't given. Two, the arm is by his side. It's arguably in a natural position. Those would be the stupid points made as to why this wasn't a penalty. Now, part of that is true. Proximity, it is fairly close. Two, yes, his arm's in a natural position in that it is bit by his side and he is jogging back, so his arm is going to be slightly elevated. Then it falls down on itself because when you actually watch the play, his arm comes out and behind him. That is not a natural position. There's no reason for his arm to be there unless it's a deliberate movement, which it was. This angle, you can see very clearly his arm is pulled back from his side. It's not in line with his body. So that's no longer a natural kind of position for his arm, really. And then when you see it from the other angle, again, you can see it's hitting his hand. It hits his arm, hand, bounces up, hits himself in the face. We all claim for it, and the referee gives absolutely nothing. Not only that, VAR doesn't even review, doesn't even call him over. It's an embarrassment. And we've said it a number of times. VAR is not the problem. VAR is a fantastic solution and a great tool for football. The problem is the piss poor quality of the referees, the inconsistency, the incompetence, and that outright.
I think there's something more behind it. I really do. I think there's no coincidence that these instances happen, especially when we're playing the bigger teams. That's what I'm going to say, because if you look at the big decisions that have gone against us, which are absolutely clear cut, the one at Chelsea, the one against Liverpool, 1 week ago, and now again against United, a team that are under pressure for top four. It's not. I'm not being silly here. There's something going on there.
Well, that's two teams chasing top four that they arguably want to be in top four.
Yeah,
have got the benefit of the doubt on a call. But what is even more embarrassing is that when you look at that situation, the ref should at least be called back. They hide behind this clear and obvious thing, and they hide behind interpretation. Simple fact of the matter is, their question has always got to be, when something like that happens, is if he gave a penalty, am I telling him to rewatch it? If the answer is no, if they watch that and go, if he gives a penalty, I'm not calling that back, you have to tell him to go review it. Clear and obvious is irrelevant. That is irrelevant.
Yeah.
The simple fact of the matter is, it should be a very, very simple thing put to them. They should be telling everyone at Stockley Park, when you watch an incident, if he gives a red, would you back that decision?
Yeah.
if he gave a penalty in that situation, would you have backed him? Because if your answer is he's given a penalty, I would have backed that decision, then you have to call him back.
I think that's what also frustrates me as well, is that they're getting the on-field decisions wrong initially. Like that was clear to see.
They know they don't need to make a decision.
Yeah, exactly. So there's almost that hesitancy to even give the decisions, which is then again making more controversy. So I think they really need to sort it out for next season and start introducing some more stuff.
And then they need to then go, essentially, whenever it's a penalty, you think it's a penalty, even if it's borderline or soft, give the penalty.
Yeah.
Then they go, mate, that's soft, review that. Or
the thing is, at the moment, they're really hesitant to overturn the decisions if they do it on field. So they then kind of stay back, and then they do it in terms of the VAR afterwards. But there's no point doing it like that.
But the fact of the matter is, until they keep saying they want respect from fans, from clubs, from managers, but the truth is, you show zero respect on the field. You show zero respect for the sport in the decisions you're making, and the fact that they are very clear and obvious. You're then making statements after the fact, days after the fact, saying, "Oh, we're really sorry, we got it wrong." It's not good enough anymore. You are paid about 50 to 60, 70,000 pounds to referee in the Premier League.
Well, yeah, let's
move on.
Let's move on from it, Mike, because we could go through this all day. It didn't matter in the end, luckily, but that could have been a big turning point.
Again, it's the fact that it could have mattered, because they also went up the other end and had a really good opportunity and shot on goal. I think it just resulted in a block from Agard from an Eriksson shot. Had they scored, the place would have fucking erupted.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have reviewed the VAR because they're weak and they're piss poor. This is the point, is it didn't matter, but it could have mattered because they went up the other end and had a shot. Luckily, it was saved and blocked. But had that not happened and they would have scored directly after that, then what? We'd have been gone in 1-0.
Yeah.
Off the bat, because of incompetence. Nothing else, just incompetence, sheer incompetence.
Well, we did go in 1-0, and then we came out second half and we started really, really well, really aggressive on the front foot, pinning United back for the first 5-10 minutes of the first half. And after 3 or 4 minutes of the first half, we managed to get another goal, and it came from a long throw. It came from that Kehrer long throw on the right-hand side. And look, we don't want to keep going over it, but there is a foul, which the referee has given after the ball's gone into the net, from Antonio jumping up with De Gea. And because his arms made contact with De Gea, he thinks it's enough to give a foul, which is absolutely not a foul. And if he wouldn't have given a foul, there's no way it would have been overturned. Okay. It just comes back to that thing of goalkeepers are just so overprotected. And De Gea knew he was in a position where he was in trouble. He'd made a mistake. He couldn't come and get the ball. So he felt a little bit of contact from Antonio and went, rolling around, holding his face, doing the same tricks that refs will fall for because they're not actually looking at what's happening. They just react to things that they see.
They just look for contact. That's it. They don't look for intent. They don't look. But the thing of the matter is, when VAR should have reviewed it, again, De Gea's on the floor holding his face. Antonio's arm is at his chest.
Yeah.
He hits his chest. His shoulder doesn't hit his jaw. So what? Why is he holding his face? It straight away, you should then go, that's a goal. Purely because you've play acted. Yeah. You made a mistake, and what you've done, you've grabbed your face, fallen on the floor. You can see in that video conclusively, it's not inconclusive, conclusively, he makes no contact with his face. So if De Gea's on the floor holding his face, you then go, right, you need to review that. He's holding his face. No contact was made with his face. There's minimal contact with his body. Go and review, because if you're saying it's a foul because of contact with the face, you have to overrule what you've given and give that as a goal.
But again, that's the problem, because at the moment we have two sides of it as well. So goalies and stuff, if you think you're being fouled, they'll do that. And also it kind of works the other way though. For say if a striker was going through and they felt contact for a penalty, they have to go down for it to be given. That's the problem. So it's kind of encouraging diving in that sense, and it's also encouraging play acting from goalies, which is where the biggest problem is.
If Antonio would have got the same level of contact from De Gea, would that have been a foul?
No, absolutely not.
Why is it a foul on the goalkeeper?
And it's because I've said this so many times. It's because it's Antonio. They look at the personnel of the person as well, and then determine whether it happens with Antonio so many times where A, he doesn't get given fouls for clear fouls on him, and B, little touches like that which aren't fouls, he'll get penalised for. So it just continues to go on. But yeah, we started other than that, it could have been 2-0. We started really well. We were creating some nice chances, overloading the left-hand side a lot, just playing through Man United, really. And they didn't really have an answer for what we were doing, because Benrahma was very, very good yesterday. And he was finding those spaces, like you said. Even in the first half, he was drifting into that pocket. And United we said it in the preview, Casemiro will be isolated. Eriksen won't be able to track back in time. Fernandes was playing on the left on this occasion, so they only really had two in midfield because Weghorst was kind of dropping in. So the gaps were there, and we really did exploit it. And as Paqueta grew into the game, he started to find those pockets as well, started to play those passes through the lines. Rice was driving forwards, and we were just playing really well. And then we started to kind of be a bit more compact, start to sit in on our 1-0 lead. And then we actually had a really good chance with Souček, which would have been a really good goal. It was a tough chance, to be honest, from how it came. But
all from a set piece, really. And it cleared out. And it ends up coming to Antonio. Oh, sorry, no, this is a chance. This isn't the disallowed goal, but this was a chance that happened before the disallowed goal. Yeah. But again, the ball comes to Antonio, and he tries to actually play it into Benrahma initially, who's in a really good position. And it's the right pass, absolutely the right pass. Other than, his only other option is to lay it back to Paqueta. So he makes the adventurous option. And Lindelof just kind of gets a toe on it. And the thing that, when you look at this, you would say Eriksen is going to be the player that has the greater chance of getting to the ball here. But he's not. He's obviously not. He's not quick enough on his feet. Paqueta's already kind of moving. Obviously, look at Souček just ghosting in at that back post area. This is something we need to see from him a lot more. He did this on a few occasions in this game. He was a nuisance in both areas of this game. And we'll talk about one of those massive nuisances that he caused to United as well momentarily. And essentially Eriksen bottles it. He knows he can't challenge Paqueta. Paqueta's got the run on him. He sticks a foot out, he's going to trip him. So he just lets him go. And then Wan-Bissaka's not really in a position to get to him. And it's a superb cross into that back post area for Souček. Just unfortunately, he's not able to wrap his foot around it enough. It's probably one of those ones that if he scuffs it, it probably goes in, but he gets a really good, strong connection. I guess the angle is probably a little bit too tight for him. Someone would possibly argue, oh, well, could he have not knocked it back for Benrahma? But no, there was no time for it. Casemiro's coming into position that had it got knocked for Benrahma, unless Benrahma's hitting it first time or getting an exceptional touch and then shot, it's a non-chance for him to kind of get there. But yeah, he absolutely smashes it one. He goes into the side netting, and unfortunately, it went wide. And he had another one as well where Paqueta gets the ball in that right-hand side, and he kind of just holds players off, and then he absolutely levers it a goal. And you just see Souček just throw himself at it between two players, and he was probably a matter of inches away from it. If he made contact on it, there's no way, shape or form that goal, that would not have been a goal. If that's on target, had Souček managed to get onto that Paqueta shot kind of about, I think it's like 3 or 4 minutes later.
Yeah.
It was a goal because there's no goalkeeper that's getting anywhere near it because it was so much pace in the Paqueta shot. You redirect that, it's in. There's no two ways about it. And then obviously, again, we had the disallowed goal. Again, Paqueta putting in a beauty of a cross. It comes from a set piece. United in that second half, every set piece, they were shaking to get near it. And the thing that was so frustrating about the disallowed goal, not that Souček was offside, that is obviously disappointing and frustrating, is that moments before that ball got circulated out and put to Paqueta, at the back post, De Gea goes up, fumbles it, but he fumbles it because he's under pressure from Aged. Yeah. Exactly the same level of contact, probably actually a little bit more robust from Aged than what Antonio did on De Gea. Referee doesn't blow it. So it's like, well, why is that one not a foul? The Antonio one was. The only answer is because the Antonio one resulted in a goal and De Gea grabbed his face because you bought it hook, line and sinker, and so did VAR. VAR just was laughable to not even review that. It's clear and fucking obvious. Yeah, and then obviously Souček, brilliant header, clips inside the post and goes in, but he was offside. And to be fair to the official, the lino on that side, brilliant spot because he gets it back on.
I think Lindelof just stepped up in time and played Souček off. So Souček probably could have held his run a little bit because he had space. Like he had so much space.
He was dropping back. He was dropping back into that line because he'd been put on the floor previously from the corner. He went in for a header and he was on the floor. And then as we circulate the ball, he's trying to drop back, but he kind of thinks that he's in line. He was just probably about a yard off, unfortunately. But yeah, it was unfortunate because we had two what looked like legitimate goals. One, I feel, was. Second one, granted, was offside, so you can't complain about that. But yeah, at that point, you was just then going, oh, don't be one of those days. Don't be one of those days. And then it came close to being one of those days. But
it did.
It was this block is superb and it was worth a goal.
It's a match-saving block, isn't it?
If he does not get there, it's 1-1, and United probably in that last 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes that there was at that point, they probably do go nick a winner because just the legs and the sheer wave after wave. It wasn't great football from United, but it was just a wave after wave at that point, and the block Souček. Oh.
Well, let's talk about it because Souček's had his critics for a long time now, including us. You know, we've said what he hasn't offered to us for a long time. But one thing you can never ever say about Souček is that he does not try and he does not care and he won't put himself in positions to save West Ham if he needs to. This was just unbelievable, miles better than what a goal probably would have given us. But yeah, I mean,
it's relegation battle defending, isn't it? Body on the line. That's what it is. It's that kind of play, and it was again. We're a bit slow in coming out to Fernandez, who has Sabitzer inside. What kind of frustrated me again when you rewatch this is when it is played into Sabitzer. In fairness to Benrahma, he tries to get into the pressure, but Cresswell just kind of does a bit of nothing. He just kind of just stands there, just doesn't want to really do anything because I think he obviously doesn't want Sabitzer to go on the outside, but then he doesn't want him to necessarily cross, but he just kind of inactively just hops on the spot. Kind of, it doesn't really do anything at all. And it's a nice pick out that he does to the back post to Martial, who smartly puts it back to Lindelof, who's there. Wan-Bissaka is making a great run off the back of Bonner. Souček, as we've said constantly before, players dropping on the line to defend the line, puts himself in a fantastic position, but he has the foresight to read what's happening with that ball. And, if he stays on the line, it's going to be a goal. Wan-Bissaka comes in, heads it in. If he comes out and doesn't win that challenge, it's a goal, quite frankly. And he just comes out and absolutely smashes that header. It's again cleared by Bowen, but he took one for the team there. I think both Wan-Bissaka and Souček got busted open in that situation as well. But the level of bravery to come in to that, you're going to get hit, you're going to get hurt, and there was no ifs, buts, or maybes from him. Just threw himself into it. That won us the game. It's as simple as that. That won us the game. We obviously had our opportunities. I think Antonio, about probably 5-10 minutes before that, almost got himself practically clean through before being
really good
down by Wan-Bissaka. To be fair, Wan-Bissaka, that was fantastic defending. Like I said it in the game, you have to sometimes commend someone willing to just go, I just have to take him out.
It was close. It could have been a red, but there was already someone covering.
It was borderline because there was cover. Yeah. I think it's also that situation of I'm better off getting a red and us not conceding the goal,
definitely,
than to just let him go through. I think in that situation, Wan-Bissaka was spot on, and obviously he ended up coming off as well because there was another incident where he was close to a foul and. Yeah. They just went, I need to get him off because if he makes one more, because they were stretched and we were making those kind of breaks where we were kind of catching them on the back foot, and they knew that if Wan-Bissaka had gone off, it would have definitely been over for him. But yeah, we were just solid. And I think someone, again, we haven't really spoken about enough. I know we kind of have spoken about, but like Tilo Kehrer,
Yeah.
the dog's abuse he has got from our fans consistently. And some of the abuse has been valid. A lot of it has been over the top.
Yeah,
Ridiculous.
I think it's been ridiculous.
He's come in the Arsenal game, was superb in that game. He's come into this one, playing it right back again. He's pocketed Marcus Rashford, and then when Martial came in as well, put him in the other pocket as well. So hopefully he's giving them back to United now, and and he remembered to take them out of his pockets before he left London Stadium last night. But he was brilliant. He absolutely managed those 1v1s, and to the point of, I don't think Soufal would have managed it as well from a defensive point of view. I don't think he would have had that same level of game.
It's tough to compare because they're different in how they defend. But also, what I really like about Kehrer is he's so composed when we get the ball. He doesn't panic or just hoof it back up there. Kufal will do that sometimes in possession. When we get the ball, he'll panic or just play that long ball down the line. Kehrer doesn't really do that. He prefers to keep hold of possession. I think even what our goal came from, it came from Agard winning the header, and Kehrer kind of just took a touch and flicked it onto Bowen with a really nice pass. So that's what I like about him. And that, I've always said, I don't want him permanently as a right back. I want him, if we play a back three, that right centre back role is his perfect role because he's got the help of, say, Zuma and Agard next to him in a back three. And he's also got the license to play out from the back and in a more natural position. So it was really nice. Yeah, I thought he was absolutely outstanding yesterday. And there were a few candidates, but everyone really put in a shift and played well. You could see at the end how fatigued we were. Ogbonna going down, Agard going down with cramp, Cresswell coming off with a little cramp or injury. Antonio put in an absolutely massive shift up top. Yeah. Bowen, again, really good, really put in a shift. Even Benrahma, maybe not so much in the first half, but second half, he put in a massive shift. And yeah, just everyone was just really good. It was such a good collective team performance. And that probably got us over the line because we needed that. We definitely needed that in the position we're in. And now, like I was saying in the preview, I think it gives us the freedom now to just focus on Europe, which is brilliant because we can just go all out on Thursday and then rest players on the Sunday against Brentford and then go all out again in the second leg.
As far as I'm concerned, the Brentford game, do not care. That Brentford game should just be...
I don't think any West Ham fan would care now.
No player that started this game, unless injuries, should be playing. Anyone who he wants to play for AZ Alkmaar should not play in the game against Brentford.
Especially the key figures. It should be Rice not playing, Paqueta not playing, Agard, all of the key players.
I'd go as far as saying none of them play. Yeah. I'd go as far as say that, and I would turn around and go get the B team. We've pretty much got 2 players per position.
Yeah,
all of the B team players are playing. Definitely. Yeah, we don't have a replacement for Bowen. Fine, call up Gideon Kadua. He's been the underrated.
Play Cornet there.
No, but you need someone on the left. If you're going to play free in but if you're going to play free in midfield, so you got Downs, you've got
Lanzini,
and Fornals. Yeah. Then you put Cornet on the left. You put maybe Kadua. I would play Kadua. I think the young lad, after captaining that under-18s team to that division title and the under-18 FA Cup, deserves to have his debut for West Ham. Give it to him. Rest the lads. Put Danny Ings up top with Bammer on the bench.
Yeah, let him cook.
Just literally go for the young lads with the experienced heads. Do not put any of the other one. Do not risk the chance that Declan Rice could get crunched in a tackle.
Yeah, it's not worth the risk.
It's just, you literally wrap them up in cotton wool. When you say that Brentford game, lads, we're safe. Don't care.
Well, yeah.
It just needs to be as simple as that. In my mind, none of them should be anyone who's...
It's nice. It's nice to have that option now, isn't it? It's nice for David Moyes, especially, because that would have been a massive win for him, especially beating United as well, his former team. So there was a lot of good performances. We said it's a really good collective team performance. Paqueta was given man of the match by the West Ham account. I think Benrahma was given man of the match inside the stadium. Who was your man of the match, Mike? Because there were a lot of candidates out there.
Tilo, for me. He was phenomenal. He pocketed anything that came down that right-hand side. And as you say, was calm in possession. Not played a great amount at the moment. Rice again was exceptional. Paqueta was exceptional. Benrahma obviously got his goal, was fantastic at times. But for me, Thilo Kehrer controlled that right-hand side. They got nothing from him, and he took everything from them.
Yeah.
So
I think we're gonna agree on a man of the match this time, because I thought he was absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I think there's an argument to give it to a couple of other players, Paqueta and Rice, just because of how exceptional they were. But that's the standard for them. I think what stood out and made Thilo Kehrer man of the match was that he's come in at right back against someone like Rashford, one of the hottest wingers in the league right now in terms of goal scoring ability and what he's been doing on the pitch. So to put in that performance was brilliant. So yeah, I think we're going to go with Kehrer. Absolutely deserves it. But like we mentioned, the whole team were brilliant. So we got the win. We got 3 points. Up to 37 points now. So hopefully results, well, by the time you're watching this afternoon, there'll probably be a couple games played already. But hopefully they go our way. And then, we can put everything into Thursday night. Hopefully the players recover from Sunday. And we've got a fully fit team to go out there and give AZ Alkmaar a really difficult test and make it difficult for them and try and get a couple goals advantage into that second leg. So, yeah, that's been our review. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm sure it's more enjoyable than some of the other ones where we've had to go through some of the defeats. But it was nice to enjoy a match for once and get a really important win against a team that probably thought they'd come over and roll us over. So, that's going to be it for today. Make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. And Mike, until next time.
Yeah. Come on, you guys.